Todd Daily is the VP of Engineered Solutions at Tri-City Electric. Todd, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. As everyone said, my name is Todd Daily. I'm the Vice President of Engineered Solutions for Tri-City Group with headquarters here in Davenport, Iowa. Tri-City Group is a collection of 9 companies with Tri-City Electric being the flagship of those 9 companies. Founded in 1895, we're the 31st largest electrical contractor in the United States, providing a variety of electrical services. I am the manager of 3 of those services, including Tri-City Engineered Integration, Tri-City Automated Solutions, and Tri-City Power Testing Solutions, which will be our focus of today's talk. So Tri-City Power Testing Solutions is a third-party testing company where we provide electrical infrastructure preventative maintenance testing and new construction acceptance testing according to NETA standards. NETA being the National Electrical Testing Association. A few examples of those testing services include infrared and ultrasonic testing, transformer oil quality dissolved gas analysis, transformer testing, including insulation resistance, winding resistance, turns ratio, power factor testing. We also test low, medium, and high voltage circuit breakers, SF6 and GIS vacuum circuit breakers, air vacuum contactor testing, protective relay testing, VLF and DC cable testing, to name a few. So due to the nature of the work that we perform at our Power Testing Solutions Group, Proxxi wristbands are a valuable safety tool in addition to our standard lockout and tagout and safety procedures as Chris was talking about before. So as a third-party testing company, we often find ourselves in locations where we are not intimately familiar with the plant we're working in. So we rely on drawings, we rely on the local maintenance people and engineers, people who know the plant. But as a result, the potential for our employees to be working in the proximity of electrical conductors or equipment that has the potential to be energized is likely. So safety is always top of mind when we're doing this work. We make every effort to ensure our technicians, plant personnel, and equipment are tested in a safe and efficient manner. We use the Proxxi device as another layer of safety to our lockout, tagout procedures, test before touch verification of de-energization, and we make the Proxxi part of our standard PPE or personal protective equipment, and it's worn on the technician's dominant hand, meaning a right-handed employee wears the Proxxi in the right hand. So if they're going in to remove a fuse or to test something, it's that dominant hand that's typically in the line of fire.
Absolutely.
So that is where they wear that device to make sure.
I love that you make it a part of like kind of your overall PPE and lockout tagout procedure.
The way it's all part of the standard procedures. It is part of our standard PPE. So the rule is if you're wearing your safety glasses, you're wearing your Proxxi.
I love it. It's a good motto to live by.
So here's an example, unfortunately, of how we got here. So unknowingly, we were working at a solar farm with an incomplete set of drawings. We were not aware of this.
Oh.
The entire facility was powered up by the solar field. Solar field was turned off. So you're literally in a cornfield. There's no power, right?
Yeah. So there's no way.
Yeah. Nothing's on. So we have to power up these devices in order to test them. We have to power up our test equipment. We have to power up the devices that we're testing. So we had 2 technicians working in a big substation. They're about 100 feet apart, testing separate pieces of equipment. One of them is testing the protective relays. So you're looking for ground fault and things like that. He's got a small generator, something that you'd take to your football tailgate to keep the crock pot going.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's got
the necessities.
He's got an alligator clip going straight to that relay.
Yep.
And he's powering up that relay to energize it so he can test it.
Sure.
What he didn't know, because we didn't have this set of drawings, is that 120 volt was fed from a step-down transformer from the solar field.
Oh. And
the solar field was creating that 120 volts. When he put 120 volts on that, it backfed a 15 kV to 120 volt transformer and put 15,000 volts where the other employee was working.
Wow.
Unfortunately, that employee got hit.
Oh.
It was
I'm sorry to hear that.
It was very bad. You know, we ended up taking him to the hospital. They run blood work and all that kind of stuff. Fortunately, he ended up receiving what would look like a curling iron burn, and it was not a serious incident.
Good.
So could have been absolutely
significantly
could have been
worse.
terrible, but that was pre-Proxxi. If we had Proxxi at that time, it would have prevented that. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with that step up in voltage, right? There would have been that redundancy baked into the Proxxi band that would have notified him.
Yeah, and there's a false sense of security.
Exactly.
The entire facility was down. There's no power. There's no way to get hit. And this little bitty generator, there was no current involved, fortunately, but the potential was there. It took the 120 volts and stepped it up to 15,000
kV. Yeah.
So could have been bad. Now, it's okay. I'll give you a real life example.
I would love that.
After that incident, we made a conscious decision and we bought Proxxi technicians, not only for everyone in Power Testing Solutions, but in other key personnel that work in industrial facilities within Tri-City Electric. So not only we do new construction, which can be a hotel, not necessarily
commercial,
commercial, but we also do construction in industrial facilities.
Yep.
Heavy metals, steel mills, and, dangerous locations. So those key personnel also have a Proxxi device.
Good.
But everybody in my power testing division has one. Again, got your safety glasses on, wear your Proxxi. So Tri-City Power Testing Solutions was hired to perform preventive maintenance testing in a large manufacturing facility in Montana. This was our first time working in this particular plant. Our team was working in several locations throughout the plant. And after tagging out all the equipment we were working on, we were working with electricians from a local contractor that was familiar with the plant. Their job was to remove the circuit breakers from this switchgear, take them to our technicians where we would test the circuit breaker. Once it had passed all those tests, we'd give it back to them. They'd reinstall it in the gear.
Okay. So like commissioning type testing.
Yeah. So we test each phase. We make sure that, ground faults are working, that if it's
power quality, I assume as well.
Yeah. So there's a trip curve on every circuit breaker.
Yep.
We make sure that it trips where it's supposed to trip.
Good.
So if you have a 600 amp circuit breaker, you don't want it to trip at 900 amps. You want it to trip at 600 amps.
Exactly.
For example, within that trip curve.
Yep.
So that's what we do. So while we're testing all these breakers, we get them all done. We had one technician that was assigned to an insulation resistance test or Megger test the gear. So once all the breakers were reinstalled, before the covers had been put back on the gear, our technician was going to Megger test everything. He made sure all of the breakers were off, because he's going to, when he Megger tests that, or when he does his insulation test, it injects voltage into the gear. So all the breakers had to be off. So if we have a feeder breaker going off somewhere else in the plant, we don't want to inadvertently send voltage out to him. So we verified everything's off. And then he went on to test the gear. So what he did is he put one lead of his Megger onto the A phase of the bus.
Okay.
And then he was going to put the other lead on to the ground to run the first test.
Sure.
And his Proxxi vibrated.
Whoa. Okay.
All right. Step
back. But
back.
everything was de-energized, or thought to be de-energized?
Yep. I actually skipped a step. I apologize for calling me out on that.
No worries.
He had in fact checked all the voltage on the gear, all the breakers. Everything was verified as off beforehand. A very key point that I had missed. So he stepped back, takes a look at it. He didn't see anything obvious. He went back, re-verified with a volt pin that all the breakers had 0 voltage on them. And then he took the volt pin to the side of the panel where it started to vibrate, found some wires on there, and he determined that there was a set of wires at the bottom of the panel that had come up through the bottom and out a side conduit.
Like a knockout or yeah, sure.
And was feeding a meter on the outside of the panel. This meter was oriented in such a way that he couldn't see it from where he was at.
Get a voltage reading?
He couldn't see that the meter was on.
Okay.
So the wires were roughly 3 feet long, came in the bottom, out the side. He then went to the technicians that had been pulling and removing breakers, said, "Hey, did you guys turn anything on, or what's going on here?" And they're like, "No, we didn't turn anything on." So we went to the foreman. The foreman said that they had completed some work several months ago, and had run some temporary wiring from a backup generator.
A backup generator
into this meter. The backup generator was running because because of the work we were doing. Everything was shut down, but the backup generator was running.
Yeah,
and turning on
probably kicked on.
There was other things that needed to be energized. You know, in the plant, there are some safety things that have to be kept on. Fire pumps and things like that. So it was running, doing its job. What we didn't know is it was powering up this meter. So we had gone through, verified it. The foreman made note, all right, I got to get rid of these temp wires. Those are not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And our technician then went back through, did what he was supposed to do, and buttoned everything up.
Wow.
But the Proxxi did its job. It found voltage inside that panel that was supposed to be de-energized. No harm, no foul. Nobody got hurt. Actually found a problem for the plant they didn't realize they had.
Yeah.
And
so you're able to kind of troubleshoot and identify that issue before it could have potentially created an even more severe accident.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I am curious, Todd, and thank you. That was invaluable. That was awesome. I am curious. It sounds like, the work that you guys are doing, it's just so variable. And it's like you guys, it sounds like you have a well-established lockout takeout procedure.
Yes.
But has Proxxi kind of helped reduce some of those variables in a way that make it easier for your techs and your foremans and your engineers to do some troubleshooting when drawings might not be updated, or there's these modifications on equipment that you just don't know about?
Right. Like I said, it is our last line of defense. So reviewing the drawings, going through all the processes and procedures, we've been doing this for decades without 100%. The Proxxi, right? But like the initial example that I told you, decades of experience, still got somebody hurt.
Yeah.
And we put other things in place in addition to the Proxxi that on that particular that project I had mentioned that he put alligator clips on the control power of that relay.
Yep.
The new process is disconnect those wires and go straight to the relay. We don't want any wires energized. So unfortunately that was a change we made. So that is again one more layer of safety to our procedures and our lockout and tagout.
I really found interesting the fact that you said if you're wearing, PPE, safety glasses, whatever, you're going to be wearing the Proxxi Band.
That's the rule.
I can't, say how critical that is as you modify and update your electrical safety program, that you have full buy-in as a company, right? It's not just the individuals doing the work. It's a culture shift.
Yes. And that's a good point, because I was a little bit worried about, you had talked earlier about the, being comfortable in your job and things like that. I was a little bit worried about some of the old school guys saying, I don't need to wear that thing.
I've done it the same way for 30 years.
My whole life, I don't need this thing. Yep. They all embraced it. They were all 100% on board. They know it's there for their own safety, for their own good. We want everybody to go home exactly the way they came to work.
And we truly believe that as well. At the root of grace, and I know this sounds cliche, but we truly believe we're saving lives with these products.
Absolutely.
And I think the examples that you provided, Todd, reinforce that.
Yeah.
Granted, the incidences weren't as severe as they could have been. So thank God for that.
Like I said, the one example, and we've had them, I don't know, less than a year.
Yeah.
The one example that I have had really wasn't that big of a danger.
Yeah.
But it did prove that it worked.
Yep.
That was voltage that we did not know was there, and it worked. No harm, no foul. We moved on. Now, unfortunately, if we would have had that prior on the, even though it was a curling iron burn, I would not want to get hit with 15,000 volts.
Oh, man. Medium voltage on a low voltage panel.
And our technician, he would tell you the same thing, right? Yeah. So he's still with us, still doing the same job.
Great.
So everything's good there, but regardless of how comfortable you are, how good you think you are at this, there's always another way to be safer, and the Proxxi's bringing that to us.
I think that really ties back to kind of some of the things that Augie and I were suggesting about making safety an easier choice.
Correct.
And so we're not trying to change or modify your electrical safety program or add in additional layers that make it convoluted or messy. These are easy to implement solutions that are very scalable.
Correct.
So I think that touches on a point with you. I mean, you guys are very diverse in the work that you guys do.
Right.
I call it ignorance, but I had no idea that there were 9 separate divisions of Tri-City. And I when I think of Tri-City, you know, I think of just the electrical contracting side of your business.
Well, and that's, you know, we get it all the time. So we recently rebranded the Tri-City Group.
I love that.
Because of, you know, we have a millwright company. We have a fire protection company.
Fire protection as
well.
We
have a concrete company. We have a flat work company. Tri-City Electric doesn't really, the name doesn't, you know, which has been around since 1895.
Right?
It does not encompass everything that we do. So the rebranding to Tri-City Group and explaining, so the 9 companies makes up Tri-City Group. Under Tri-City Electric, there's 12 different divisions. So I run the 3 of those, you know, engineering integration, power testing, and automated solutions. So there's a lot of tentacles to, you know, what I refer to as Tri-City Electric, the company, our construction, that's the hub of the wheel, and there's a lot of spokes.
Yeah. And so again, the scale, right? So you have so many different divisions, individuals that are very diverse in the work that they're performing. So including this and incorporating it as just kind of a part of your overall PPE process, again, last line of defense, you know, it just makes it easier, safer. And like you said, having folks come in and leave at the end of the day the same way that they come in.
And it doesn't fit every division that we have, right? You know, so the guys that are putting card access on a door, probably not a big deal to them, right? But for my guys, we work on anything from 4 milliamps to 345,000 volts.
Wow. Really high voltage.
Yeah. We did power plants.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal for them.
So I want to open it up and take a second for questions. Schultz, were there any questions for Todd in particular, since we have Todd here and we're kind of wrapping up this customer testimony and case study?
Yeah, we'll let Todd go in here in just a moment, but while we still have him, go ahead and enter any questions you may have for him in the chat.
And Augie, if you have any questions for Todd, I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge, and I feel like I feel like I would be doing a disservice if I didn't plug you guys though as well. So a lot of the industrial accounts and customers that we work with here locally, and even on a national scale, you know, anytime that we can collaborate with Tri-City and other folks that are doing some of that maintenance, what I've found in my customer engagement and outreach is that maintenance is generally being shifted away from being on site at a facility.
Yes.
And it's folks like you and your engineering as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like I would be doing a disservice to you if I didn't give you a plug and just say thank you for all of the work that you do, and that complements kind of our approach with our electrical safety products.